sound of laughter tore through the calm morning air of Mason's Diner, a quiet roadside stop just outside a small town in Arizona. Sunlight spilled through the large windows, glinting off polished chrome stools and the silver napkin holders. But that peace shattered when a cruel, sharp slap echoed through the room. A girl's trembling hand flew to her cheek, her wheelchair rolling back slightly from the impact. Her name was Clara Rivers, a 21-year-old with bright brown eyes, soft curls falling over her shoulders, and braces supporting her frail legs. She worked here part-time, cleaning tables and serving coffee with the most genuine smile anyone could offer. Yet now that smile was gone. 3 boys, all in their early 20s, loud, arrogant, and cruel, had turned her morning into a nightmare. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing up for what's right, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Let's make sure stories like this remind the world that good hearts still exist. Clara's hands shook as she tried to keep her composure. She'd only asked them politely not to put their muddy boots on the seats. That's when it started. The mocking, the sneering, the laughter. One of them, tall and broad, shouldered with slicked back blonde hair, leaned in and whispered something before slapping her. The other 2 howled with laughter. The diner went silent for a moment, but no one moved. The older man at the counter looked down into his coffee. A mother with 2 kids pretended to be on her phone. Even the cook peeked out from the kitchen, then disappeared back inside. Clara's eyes burned, but she refused to cry. She took a slow breath, straightened herself in the chair, and whispered, "Please leave." The boys laughed again. "What are you gonna do, roll over us?" The blonde one sneered. His friends smirked, tossing a few crumpled dollar bills on the table before leaving, still laughing, still proud of what they had done. When the door closed, silence returned. But it wasn't peaceful anymore. It was the kind of silence that hurts more than noise, the silence of shame. Clara wheeled herself to the counter, wiping the same table over and over just to keep her hands busy. Her cheek was still red. Her chest trembled with every breath. The diner owner, Mr. Mason, came out from the back. He was a kind man in his 60s, his hands rough from years of cooking. "I'm sorry, Clara," he said softly. "Those boys, they ain't right." Clara smiled faintly. "It's okay, Mr. Mason. People like that, they just don't understand." She said it because she had to, not because she believed it. Outside, the world kept moving, cars zooming by, birds chirping. But inside, Clara felt stuck. She thought about her mother, who used to tell her, "You're not broken, Clara. You're just built different. And that's your strength." Her mother passed away when Clara was 16, leaving her with an old wheelchair, a few photographs, and that unshakable phrase, "But sometimes, no matter how strong you try to be, the world finds a way to crush you." As the morning passed, the diner grew busier again. A few regulars came in, and the sound of the jukebox filled the room with soft country tunes. But Clara's eyes stayed distant, her thoughts circling back to the laughter, the slap, the humiliation. She wondered if this was just her life now, a series of people who saw her as weak, fragile, or worthless. An hour later, just as the lunch crowd began to fade, a deep rumble rolled across the parking lot. The kind of sound that makes windows tremble and hearts quicken. Everyone turned their heads toward the window. 6 motorcycles pulled in, their chrome shining under the midday sun. Each bike was massive, their engines cutting through the silence like thunder. The riders dismounted slowly, leather jackets, heavy boots, and tattoos that told stories of survival and scars. The leader, a tall man with a thick beard and weathered face, pushed open the door and stepped inside. The bell above the door jingled softly. For a moment, everyone froze. The air shifted. Even Mr. Mason's hand paused mid-wipe on the counter. The leader's name was Ryder Holt, a veteran who'd seen war, loss, and pain that most people couldn't imagine. The rest of the crew, 5 men and 1 woman, followed him in. They weren't the kind of bikers that caused trouble. They were the kind that carried silence like armor. Ryder's eyes scanned the diner. They stopped when he saw Clara. He noticed the faint red mark on her cheek, the way her hands shook slightly as she tried to refill a coffee cup. He didn't say anything at first. He just watched. Then he motioned his crew to sit at the far corner booth. "Coffee black," he said simply. Clara nodded, forcing a polite smile as she wheeled over to serve them. When she set down the cups, Ryder caught her wrist gently. "Who did that?" he asked, his deep voice calm but heavy with authority. Clara blinked, confused. What do you mean? He tilted his head slightly, his eyes focused on her cheek. That mark. Someone hit you. The diner went silent again. Even the jukebox seemed to fade. Clara hesitated, looking down. It's nothing. Just some boys earlier. It's fine now. Ryder's eyes darkened. Boys, he repeated, his tone low. The woman sitting beside him, a sharp-eyed biker with auburn hair, leaned forward. What kind of boys hit a girl in a wheelchair? She muttered. Clara tried to smile again. Please, don't make trouble. I just want to forget it. She turned to leave, but Ryder's hand stayed on the table, his knuckles tightening. He didn't speak another word, but his crew exchanged looks, the kind that didn't need words. Minutes later, the same three young men strutted back into the diner, laughing about something, their voices loud again. They hadn't even noticed the bikes outside. The blonde one saw Clara and smirked. Hey, look who's still here. You miss me? Wheels, his friends chuckled. That's when Ryder stood up. His boots hit the floor like thunder. The blonde boy turned, his grin fading instantly. Ryder towered over him, his presence filling the room. The air grew thick, heavy, electric. You the one who thinks it's funny to hit girls? Ryder asked quietly. The blonde boy stammered. Who are you? Ryder stepped closer. Doesn't matter who I am. What matters is what you did. The boy laughed nervously, glancing at his friends. We were just joking, man. Relax. Ryder leaned in, his voice dropping to a whisper that somehow everyone still heard. A man doesn't raise his hand to someone weaker, ever. Not in my world, not anywhere decent. The boy swallowed hard, trying to step back, but one of Ryder's men, a broad, tattooed guy with a scar down his cheek, blocked his path. The woman biker crossed her arms. You like picking on girls, huh? How about you try picking on someone who can hit back? The boys froze. Ryder didn't touch them. He didn't have to. His presence was enough. The silent power of a man who'd seen too much to ever tolerate cruelty. Finally, the blonde boy muttered an apology, his voice trembling. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Ryder cut him off. You meant every bit of it. Now you're gonna fix it. He nodded toward Clara. You're gonna apologize to her, properly. The diner was silent except for the hum of the ceiling fan. The boy turned to Clara, his voice shaking. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have, I was wrong. Clara looked at him for a long moment, her eyes soft but steady. Don't say it to me, she said quietly. Say it to every person you ever thought was less than you. Something in her tone, gentle yet unyielding, struck him deeper than Ryder's glare ever could. He nodded, ashamed, and walked out, his friends following silently. Ryder turned back to Clara, his face softening. You okay? He asked. She smiled faintly. I am now. Thank you. Ryder nodded once. You didn't need us. You had strength long before we walked in. After that, the bikers ordered food and stayed for a while, filling the diner with laughter and warmth instead of fear. Clara served them with a genuine smile this time, the kind that came from relief, gratitude, and maybe a bit of newfound hope. When they left, the sound of their engines faded into the horizon, but something in Clara stayed bright. She looked at her reflection in the diner's window. The same face, the same wheelchair, but somehow stronger. She realized that sometimes kindness comes in leather jackets and roaring engines, disguised as something rough, but carrying hearts that still know right from wrong. Later that afternoon, as the sun began to dip, Mr. Mason walked up to her. You know, he said, smiling, I've worked this diner 40 years, seen a lot of things, but today I saw courage. Clara chuckled softly. From the bikers. He shook his head. From you, kiddo. You stood tall even sitting down. The Clara laughed, and for the first time that day the sound felt free. She rolled to the window, watching the sun paint gold across the asphalt. In that moment, she wasn't thinking about pity or pain, just the quiet pride of someone who had faced cruelty and stayed kind anyway. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Let's spread stories that remind the world what compassion truly looks like, even in unexpected places. Special request, comment below. Kindness never goes out of style. Let's see how many hearts still believe in it.